Adam, appreciate you joining us for what I hear is going to be the last time. We've been through a couple different renditions of the WEEI afternoons, but you've been great each Wednesday. I want to start off by, now that the dust is kind of settling on the coaching musical chairs, and we have Liam Cohen and his situation, Brian Schottenheimer, Pete Carroll, just a real wide variety of hires and stories. What is your takeaway? Is there any takeaway in terms of trends or where coaching is going in the National Football League? Because we seem to do this every year, but this was one of the weirdest.
Well, I don't know that it was weird so much as it was interesting.
Okay.
On a few different, but it's always interesting, right? It's always interesting. There's always going to be something that gets people's attention. I mean, in this particular case, you had some hot coordinators from a hot team in Detroit Lions, Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn. You had the senior Pete Carroll become the oldest NFL head coach in history. You had the Liam Cohen situation, which was one of the stranger situations we've seen in a coaching search. Saints are still open. That's trending towards Kellen Moore. Trying to think who else we're forgetting here. But
Cowboys, Schottenheimer.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting, the whole cycle, personally. I don't know that you draw any trend. What I would say is, a lot of people questioning the Brian Schottenheimer hire or declaring certain hires as win. Mike Vrabel, we forgot that one, of course. Here's the thing. Rarely do you know how a guy is going to fare. Rarely do you know. It's just not very common. It's sort of like first-round draft picks. Some of them hit, and some of them don't. Some of them go on to greatness, and some of them don't. And it's the same thing in every NFL head coaching cycle hiring period. You look at the hires that are made on an annual basis, and every year, everybody declares that coach, that hire, a success, a win. Can't believe they got him. What a great move. Just like when they make a pick, nobody says, well, that's a bad pick. They're all great picks until they're not, and they're all great hires until they're not. And inevitably, some of these will work out really well, and some of them won't. It's just the way it is.
So, Adam, we're coming off a championship Sunday, a thrilling one, no less, with that phenomenal Buffalo, Kansas City AFC championship, and we can only hope the Super Bowl is as exciting. But with the lingering questions that are related questions, I should say, lingering questions about officiating and ball spots and was it a catch, was it not? Do you think, and I know you've talked about this with referee assistants, but do you think we will see anything resembling slight to significant changes made to officiating, calls, technology this offseason to prevent any more doubt, especially any that may people feel like benefits one team that goes to the Super Bowl a lot more than others?
Well, I think if the technology is there, the league will deploy it. I think they're going to consider ways to expand replay assist and include other plays in that. I don't know how it worked out with the technology and the chip in the ball that they talked about doing. I do know that it's 2025, and it just seems a little odd that the league is still depending on a chain gang that was used back in Canton, Ohio, back in the day.
Yes.
So, we'll see how it goes.
Adam, I'm curious your thoughts because it's debated on this show whether or not the tush push should be something that should be allowed in football. My co-hosts think it should. I aesthetically think it's just kind of ugly to look at. I mean, you had between the two teams or the four teams playing this past weekend, I think they went for it collectively 13 times. So you're seeing teams go for it more. And that tush push in particular, is that a play in which you feel like the competition committee will intervene and maybe do something about it? Or is that a play that's here to stay and no one around the league has any issues with it? What do you think about just the future of that play? Is that something that you see is going to last, or is it something that might be discussed in the offseason?
It's come up before. It's never been an issue. It's a football play. If it was so easy to execute, everybody would be doing it. So it's not. What do you want it to do?
Well, here's what I would push back on that. It's how do you practice as a defense? How do you practice for that play? How do you prepare for that play when it's you can't go live and practice at guys' knees like that? It feels like to some degree, me being a former defensive player, a little bit unfair in that aspect, that it's a play that you can't prepare and practice for because of the inherent dangers of that play.
Well, I mean, that's from a safety standpoint, I understand, but it's just hard to legislate a play. I just haven't heard talk about it.
Okay.
It's not hard. They could say no more tush push. They could do that.
That's fine.
But I haven't heard any talk that's happening. I just haven't heard that. We'll see, but I haven't heard that.
Okay.
ESPN's Adam Schefter joining us here on WEEI Afternoons. Adam, I kind of thought we had put to bed the debate of Belichick versus Brady, but Vice TV has churned it back up with this Mad Dog series, The Verdict, that is 2 episodes deep, and our own Ted Johnson has been a big part of that, and he tends to give more credit to Brady. I don't know if you've ever answered this definitively, but if they made you vote on The Verdict, who deserves more credit for the Patriots dynasty, Belichick or Brady?
See, here's the thing. I was in Denver, as was Ted, when they had this debate about Elway and Shanahan all the time. And I always felt like, and not to ride the fence on you, but I always felt like Elway needed Mike to get to where he was, and Mike needed John to get to where he was, just like Tom needed Bill to get where he was, and Bill needed Tom to get where he was. I always think the quarterback is the most important person, but they need each other. They make each other better. A great coach makes a quarterback that much more effective. A great quarterback makes a coach that much more effective. So I don't like to give one more credit than the other because I don't think it's warranted. But just in a general sense, if you're asking me what's the most important piece of a franchise, a great quarterback. That is the most important piece. But they enhance each other and complement each other. And I always answered it that way, and I'll always answer it that way because John Elway had other coaches and didn't win. And, I mean, Tom Brady did win with other coaches. You could say that. But I just think that they're both instrumental to each other's success.
Adam, for any Patriots fans in New England that were hoping the Eagles had an advantage headed into Super Bowl 59, you probably didn't exactly pump them full of confidence when you tweeted out that 16 of the past 20 Super Bowl winners were wearing whites and the Chiefs would be wearing white jerseys in Super Bowl 59. That was a nice little nugget I picked up off your timeline. But I also saw, speaking of quarterbacks, that you you shared that nugget from the Let's Go podcast the other day where Bill Belichick said that they should rename the Lombardi Trophy. And Bill Belichick said they should rename it after Brady. I would love you, if anyone knows what it would be like to rename the Lombardi Trophy, it would be you. And who would Adam Schefter rename the Lombardi Trophy after if it was?
Well, I'm not going to argue against Tom Brady. Like, the guy has been pretty prolific throughout the course of his career. So if they want to rename it the Brady Trophy, I certainly wouldn't stand in the way of that. I mean, that's as logical and as plausible as any name you could rename the trophy. I mean, what do you want him to rename it? Like, the Gronk? I mean, you can't do that. Right?
Would have a giant dent in it from spiking it. We'll take it.
Exactly.
Adam, before we let you go, what next week we know stories galore, Super Bowl week, media night, the whole thing. What's a better story for the National Football League? Because fans always tell us, oh, the league is rooting for this story or that story or it's scripted. Is it a better story to have a new champion, Saquon Barkley, special season? Or is the history that's never been done, three-peat, Chief Pete, the better story for the NFL?
The better story, whatever happens. The better story is a great game and letting hold how you can make the historical argument on behalf of the Chiefs. You can make the argument on a team finally able to take down a team like the Chiefs. Like, you could go either way with that. So, to me, always the games are the story, and if it's a great game, the story will tell itself. I'm not trying to ride the fence here on the head coach quarterback debate or the situation here, who's going to be the better winner, what story. There's great stories everywhere. You just need a great game to make it happen.
Hopefully we get that great game, Adam, and you've been great all season long on Wednesdays. We do appreciate chatting with you, especially some of your more impassioned answers. The one about Robert Kraft's Hall of Fame candidacy certainly went viral, and I think Patriots fans really appreciated that. So thanks for talking to us each and every week, and have a good Super Bowl week.